My name's Amy. I'm a 24-year-old graphic designer. I'm not seeing anyone at the moment, but work is going well, and I'm living alone in my grandparents' house in the next town over from my childhood home. I didn't have any issues with my work relationships, but my real family was the one issue that constantly troubled me. I have an older sister by 2 years, Melissa, who my parents have always favored. As a kid, I loved to draw. But Melissa would say things like, "Mom, Amy's doodling again. It's embarrassing that a loner like her is my sister." Snatch my drawings and throw them in the trash. My parents were smitten with Melissa, and I'd only ever see them nodding along to whatever she said. They told me that once I finished my compulsory education, I needed to work and bring money into the household. But my maternal grandparents didn't want that for me and took me in. Thanks to my grandparents, I was able to attend a high school in the neighboring town. I wanted to repay them as soon as I graduated high school, but they let me go to the vocational school instead. I've always loved drawing original characters, so I wanted to turn that hobby into a career and went to a graphic design school. Since my student days, whenever I found a logo or design or competition open to amateurs, I would apply. A few companies picked up the designs I submitted, but one company wanted to use an original character I drew as their company mascot. This became my break, and after graduating from the vocational school, I became a freelance designer and worked from home at my grandparents' house, never having worked for any company. My grandparents had been on a journey touring the national parks of America for about a year, so I'm living alone and managing the house in their absence. But Melissa keeps saying to me, "Are you still living off our grandparents? You're old enough. You should be independent. Dad and Mom are upset. When are you going to start contributing money to the household? Stop wasting your time on your geeky stuff and get to work." When I retorted with, "I'm just looking after the house while they're traveling, and besides, I do work." But isn't it weird to ask me to give money to a household I'm not even living in? She didn't believe me. "No matter what you say, your job is like a side gig, right? You shouldn't be proud of working like that." She seemed determined to look down on me no matter what. As for Melissa, our parents paid her college tuition, and she landed a job thanks to our dad's connections. She lived off an allowance when she was a student. She used to receive a pretty big allowance, but when she ran out, she would occasionally work a one-day gig at a nightclub for the free drinks and the tips. On the other hand, I had been working part-time jobs since my student days, and I've been giving my grandparents money bit by bit. My grandparents told me they didn't need it, but I insisted, saying that even among loved ones, courtesy is important, and I gave them a part of my earnings. Melissa had no idea about any of this and looked down on me. Usually, I don't get much contact from my family, but when something bothers them, they take it out on me without considering my circumstances. If I tried to retort, they would make more snide remarks. So I usually just let them talk. One day, after things like this had been happening for a while, Melissa handed me an invitation and said, "I'm getting married. Give this to our grandparents." My name was also on the invitation. "My fiancé is the heir to a major company. He's the next CEO. Elites are attracted to a beauty like me. If our grandparents are coming, I suppose it's okay for you to come too," she boasted. I responded with insincere congratulations like, "Congrats on your wedding. I'm jealous, so jealous of you, Melissa." Then Melissa said, "I knew a geeky loner like you wouldn't have anyone interested. You don't have a boyfriend, do you? I always have at least 3. It's boring to have just one guy." "Do you want me to introduce you to someone? I can give you any of my old boyfriends." "Oh, but you're a lazy shut-in, so that might not work." I politely declined Melissa's offer. I was amazed that there was a rich guy willing to marry a woman as nasty as Melissa. After that, Melissa's bragging continued for about an hour, but I unconsciously tuned it out and don't remember a thing. Maybe she was satisfied with her bragging, but Melissa left in high spirits. I had reached out to my grandparents, but they responded that they would be absent due to a luxury cruise trip. At first, I thought that if my grandparents were not attending, I wouldn't need to either. However, after rereading the invitation from my sister, I decided to attend. Thus, I wrote back on my sister's wedding invitation stating that alone I would be attending and sent it back. After a month of ensuring that I could take the day off for my sister's wedding, I was able to wrap up my work the day before. That's when my phone rang. I thought it might be an unexpected work request, but it was my sister on the other end. Moreover, it was a video call. I didn't want to answer because I had a face mask on, but I picked up the phone reluctantly because I didn't know what she would say if I didn't. Hello, what's up? I'll definitely be there tomorrow. What are you talking about? And what are you doing? It's useless for an ugly person like you to take care of your skin. You don't need to come to the wedding tomorrow. I was surprised to be told by my sister, who had called me unexpectedly, that I didn't need to come to the wedding tomorrow. While I was taken aback by my sister's word, my parents also popped their heads in from behind and laughed at me. Next to my laughing parents, my sister once again said to me, "Please don't attend the wedding tomorrow, you bottom-tier loser." What? But being absent? It's okay. I'll tell them that you caught a cold or something. I don't want them to think that my sister is like you. It's embarrassing, so don't come. I'll make sure you can't even if you do. I'll lend you my man, so why don't you go and experience what a date is like? It seemed that my sister did not want me to attend. Furthermore, I was a little puzzled by my sister's last words. After thinking a bit, I told her, "Understood. I won't have anything more to do with all of you. I don't think of you as a family. I'll cut off my ties. But remember, I won't be responsible for whatever happens," and hung up. As I was about to hang up, I had a feeling that my sister was sneering at my words. But I ended the call without worrying about it. The next day, since there was no more wedding I had to attend, I was enjoying my long-awaited day off. As I was barbecuing in my backyard, the intercom at my house suddenly rang. There stood my sister and parents. Hello, wasn't today supposed to be Melissa's wedding? I was waiting for my fiancé at the wedding venue, but no one showed up. Even when I asked the staff, they said that it had been canceled and there was no wedding scheduled, she yelled. To my sister's outcry, I calmly responded, "What does that have to do with me? Besides, I told you that I don't care what happens. I cut ties with you all yesterday. Please leave me alone." Everything started when my sister called me yesterday and told me not to attend the wedding. After hanging up the phone with my sister, I contacted someone. It was the father of my sister's fiancé. The reason I was able to get in touch with him was that he was the president of the company I work for. "Steve, I'm sorry to bother you when you're busy. I won't be able to attend the wedding of your son tomorrow." I had called Steve immediately after hanging up the phone with my sister. In fact, when I received an invitation from my sister announcing her marriage, I only thought that the name of her fiancé Robert seemed familiar. It was only later when I received the same invitation from Steve. So I was taken aback to learn that the man who was marrying my sister was Robert. But when I told Steve that the bride was my sister, he joyfully said, "When Robert talks about Melissa, he always looks so happy. When I met Melissa, she was a wonderful lady. She's definitely your sister, Amy. We look forward to working with you both personally and professionally." Given this, I assumed my sister had cleaned up her past relationships with men. However, the fact that I was unable to attend because my sister told me not to come to the wedding was something I felt I had to tell Steve, who I had promised to meet at the wedding. When I did, Steve asked me, "What happened? The ceremony is tomorrow, isn't it? Did you overwork yourself and get sick?" And seemed very worried about me. It was a bit hard for me to say, but I decided to relay exactly what my sister had told me. She told me, "A bottom-rung loser like you should not attend the wedding tomorrow." She called you a bottom-rung loser, even though you're such a successful designer? Does your sister not know? He seemed outraged that I was being called a loser. The only people who understand me are my grandparents, who are currently overseas, and about what my sister said. I told a story about my family that I had never told anyone before. Apparently, Steve immediately told Robert about the conversation, and Robert was very angry too. Steve's family values their kinship, thinking of their employees as family. Although I'm not an employee, they seem to value me as well because I work with them, considering me as part of the family. "We don't consider people who can't cherish the family we value as our family. We're sorry, but we can't accept your family into ours," he said to me. Robert, who was nearby, said, "I'm sorry, Amy, but I'm thinking about calling off the wedding with Melissa." To his words, I said, "Robert, I have cut ties with my family, so you can do whatever you want. Also, there's something else I need to tell you," and decided to share a certain fact. What is it? Robert, not knowing what he was about to be told, responded in a worried voice. Feeling apologetic, I told him what my sister had said to me. After she told me to skip the wedding, my sister said she was going to lend her boyfriend to me. So, I hesitate to say this, but I think my sister has had bad habits with men since the old days. I suspect that she might have another man aside from you, Robert. What? She told me she was single when we started dating. And she came on to me. He seemed a bit shocked. Steve then came on the speaker. "Amy, you said you're free tomorrow, right?" "Yes, I plan to be at home all day." "I see. Our family will not attend the wedding. We have a proposal for you." Thinking it sounded fun, I agreed. The plan was to have a barbecue at my house on the day of the wedding. So, when my sister and my parents came to my house, we were in the middle of the barbecue, including Steve and Robert. As I was dealing with them at the front door, Robert, noticing the three of them had arrived, peeked out the door. "Why is Robert here? Today is supposed to be the wedding. We went to the venue and were told the wedding was canceled. None of the attendees from your side showed up. And we couldn't contact anyone, so we were worried. Why are you here? Don't tell me you two have been disgusting." My sister, upon seeing Robert, came at us all at once. There, Robert sighed heavily and told my sister quietly, "You're someone who can't cherish family. We heard about your attitude and words towards Amy. You told me your sister was busy with work and couldn't see you often, but that's not the case at all." "Well, I'm ashamed that this unemployed loser is my sister. It's better for our public image to say that she's busy with work, isn't it? That's why I've been saying she's busy with work. What's wrong with that? I've been speaking well of her in public. I would appreciate some gratitude for that." My sister insisted it was for my sake. Seeing my sister like this, Robert defended me, emphasizing how much I contributed to his company. "You know, it's proof of not valuing family when you, her own sister, have no idea what kind of work Amy does. You've been calling her unemployed, but her income should be at least double yours. And your parents treated Amy the same way, right? I can't be with someone who can't value their own family. We should consider our engagement off." "What? Off? Does that mean I can't get married?" Even though Melissa seemed furious, she turned towards me with a mocking grin. "Wait, Amy's job is that amazing? I wouldn't have known unless someone told me. From now on, I promise to listen to you, Amy. Let's get along better." After Robert pointed it out, Melissa's attitude towards me changed dramatically. Whether it was due to an interest in my salary or not, my family was trying to suck up to me, but I rejected them clearly. No way. After all the humiliation and looking down upon me, it's too convenient to now say, "Let's get along." Stop joking. No matter how much you try to flatter me, I won't help you financially. I told you yesterday, I've cut ties with you as a family. Don't get involved with me anymore. If you continue to stay here, I'll call the police. If you don't want that, leave right now." The moment I mentioned police, the three of them changed color and quickly dispersed. After that, Robert and I returned to the backyard and continued enjoying our barbecue. A month later, I received a call from an unknown number. Assuming it was work-related, I decided to answer. "Hey, I got a bill from Robert. What did you say? You knew about my affair?" Before I could say hello, Melissa's shrill voice echoed in my ear. "What are you talking about all of a sudden? I've repeatedly told you not to involve me. But you still do. I don't care about your affair anymore, so please never contact me again." With that, I hung up. Later, I heard from Robert that the investigation of Melissa's affair during their engagement had finished, and it seemed possible to claim compensation and cancellation fees from the venue. As Melissa had quit her job with the plan of getting married, I heard she was juggling several part-time jobs to somehow pay the compensation. She seemed to have run crying to our parents, but their income had never been great, so I don't think that they could be of much help. As someone who was spoiled until now, I hope Melissa takes responsibility for what she's done. Currently, I'm still working with Steve's company. We've been discussing the opportunity for me to create various products as an exclusive designer. I look forward to continuing to work happily with these kind of people in the future.